The movie is set in the 1960s in the Midwest of the USA, where the first biker clubs are emerging. Benny is a typical biker loner who loves cheap bars and drinks, but he values his bike and his Chicago Vandals biker club patch the most. In one of these cheap bars, two men react aggressively to the appearance of a biker and order him to take off his jacket with the biker club symbol, otherwise, he will regret it. Benny says he will never do it willingly, and the drunk patrons decide to teach him a lesson. They attack and beat the biker, but Benny, not used to giving up, puts up a serious fight, wounding one of the men with a knife, and then gets hit on the head with a shovel. Kathy is a young and naive girl, but she is very decent and well-mannered. She has never associated with bad companies until one day in 1964 when her friend invites her to a club where bikers gather. Kathy is shocked by the oppressive atmosphere inside, where there are plenty of half-naked drunk men. Shyly avoiding intrusive glances, she lends money to her friend and wants to leave the bar quickly when she suddenly notices Benny. He is different from the other rude patrons, and Kathy instantly falls in love with him at first sight. When Benny sits next to her, the girl can hardly contain her emotions and still rejects the guy, as she already has a boyfriend. After this, she meets Johnny, the founder of the biker club, who assures her that it is safe here and that despite the behavior of his drunk friends, they pose no threat to her. Feeling awkward in such a company, Kathy still hurries to leave and feels how the drunk patrons manage to look her up and down and even touch her a few times. She wants to wait for the bus at the stop, but is scared of the crowd of men who come outside. Thinking that this day might end badly, the girl agrees to leave with Benny on his bike. Soon, the crowd of motorcyclists catches up with them, and Kathy finally realizes that they are not a threat. The biker club turns out to be just a modest refuge for local outcasts who desperately need communication and the spirit of freedom. At night, Benny gives Kathy a ride home, which clearly doesn't please her boyfriend. Instead of going back, Benny stays across from her house. He spends the whole night there, which leads to a quarrel between Kathy and her boyfriend, and they eventually break up. Only after the boyfriend leaves, Benny decides to approach the girl's house and invites her on a date. Mutual feelings and the rapid start of their relationship lead to Kathy and Benny getting married within a month. Despite serious changes in his personal life, Benny continues to be a hooligan biker constantly chased by the police, who try to find him for speeding and running red lights. The elusive racer almost escapes the police, but the gas in the tank runs out at the worst moment, and the guy is arrested and temporarily released on bail. Johnny is shocked by the defiant behavior of the biker club member but doesn't condemn him, as Benny simply loves freedom and strives for it at any cost. Johnny understands Benny's yearning for freedom like no one else, and eventually, he founds the first biker club in the USA. Johnny himself is not an immoral person or a criminal, as he has a wife, two wonderful daughters, and a legitimate job in freight transportation. He and his friends even participated in motocross competitions and wanted to achieve something serious in sports, but his best friend didn't support his idea. As a result, the racing club splits into two groups. Some continue to participate in sports competitions, while others turn into bikers who value freedom and the opportunity to spend time carefree in a noisy and fun company. Initially, the Chicago Vandals Club consists of 12 bikers, including Mechanic Cal, Slightly Strange Zipco, the leader's loyal friend and assistant Brucey, Cockroach-loving Cockroach, and other men. For a long time, everything is good in the club, but gradually changes start happening, transforming them from lovers of getting away from everyday life into real bandits threatening the safety of city residents. The first troublemaker is Big Jack, who challenges Johnny to take his place as leader. Others don't want such responsibility and support Johnny, but Jack insists that a similar biker club should appear in one of the neighboring states, sharing the Vandals banner with them. Johnny and Jack decide to settle their dispute in a fight, which the leader barely wins, breaking the big guy's finger and biting his leg. After this, Johnny still agrees to let the biker club establish new chapters in other states, not realizing what it will lead to in the near future. Seeing a crowd of confident bikers on the city streets, many residents look up to them and try to become like them. Among the dreamers is a group of hooligans who steal parts from expensive cars. Because of this, bikers soon start to cause fear among people, so most residents try to stay away from them. At one of the Sunday picnics, the only one who decides to approach them is a biker from another gang. He starts an argument over a scratch on his motorcycle, and Johnny tries to resolve the conflict peacefully. Unlike the leader, Benny doesn't like the stranger's audacity and decides to beat him up. Only after the glass is broken do the bikers finally realize that they have nothing to divide, as they are all united by a common passion for motorcycles. The next step in transforming the biker club into a criminal gang is a conflict involving Benny. When two drunk bar patrons attack him, he defends himself and wounds one of them with a knife. Seeking revenge for his friend, the second not only hits him with a shovel on the back of the head, but also seriously injures Benny's leg. At that moment, Benny, for the first time in his life, can't hold back tears, as he is very afraid that his leg might be amputated. Benny begs Kathy to help save his leg so he can ride a motorcycle again. Learning about what happened, Johnny and his friends come to the same bar and demand the names of those who attacked Benny. Not getting an answer, Johnny orders to beat up Benny's offenders so they can never walk again and burns the bar down. The police and firefighters only watch from a distance, too scared to approach or arrest any of the gang members. After surgery and discharge from the hospital, Benny lives in a hotel as he can't climb the stairs to get home. Kathy supports her husband while Johnny suggests going on a weekend trip to another state. Kathy is irritated by this, as Benny's leg is still in a cast and he can barely move. She decides to talk to Johnny about this and asks him to kick her husband out of the club, but receives a rude refusal. Meanwhile, the young generation of bikers continues to break the law and becomes more and more cruel every day. One of the local guys, nicknamed the Kid, who dreams of becoming a real biker, almost kills his own parents and then leaves home, creating a group of aggressive outcasts. A few days later, Johnny and his friends go on another picnic. Despite protests, Kathy has to accompany Benny to his friends, as he is not going to give up his dream of riding a motorcycle and meeting with biker club members. Here they meet Sonny, a strange biker from another state, who came here just to beat up Cal. Realizing that he is in good company, Sonny gives up fighting and even joins the Vandals. At this time, Johnny invites Benny for a personal conversation and tells him that he will make him his successor as soon as he steps down from the head of the biker club. Soon an event happens that forever turns the biker club into a real criminal gang. Brucey, Johnny's right-hand man and the ideological inspirer of the Chicago Vandals, gets into a car accident. Some careless driver backs out onto the road, causing Brucey's motorcycle to collide with the car, and he dies. The bikers want to bury Brucey with honors, but at the funeral, the deceased man's parents spit in Johnny's face, blaming him for what happened. In the evening, the bikers go to a bar to drink to the fallen friend. There, they are already awaited by the outcasts, led by the Kid who dreams of joining the Vandals. However, Johnny rejects the arrogant and vile guy who is ready to betray anyone for his benefit. Considering this an insult, the Kid attacks Johnny from behind, but immediately gets a beating and falls into a deep knockout. A year later, the biker club changes even more, finally transforming into a criminal gang. More and more suspicious people join it, including many hooligans and petty criminals. The gang members commit more and more crimes, and many of their parties end in serious fights. One day, Cockroach announces that he wants to leave the club to become a motorcycle police officer. The newcomers don't like this, and they brutally beat the man. Benny takes Cockroach to the hospital, but leaves his wife unsupervised for a while and almost regrets it. A crowd of drunk bikers tries to violently assault Kathy, and only Johnny manages to save the woman from being raped. Soon Cockroach personally asks Johnny to let him leave the gang. The leader says nothing, and at night he, along with Benny, breaks into Cockroach's house and shoots him in the leg. However, the leader does this deliberately so that Cockroach can finally leave the gang. Seeing all the horror happening, Benny finally becomes disillusioned with the completely changed biker club and leaves alone in an unknown direction. Sometime later, the leader of the outcasts joins the Vandals gang in another state and challenges Johnny to take his place as the leader. Realizing that the fight will be with knives, Johnny says nothing to his wife and children. He only says goodbye to Kathy, who is very worried about Benny, who left in an unknown direction. At night, Johnny comes to the place of the fight, but the Kid, instead of fighting with knives, suddenly pulls out a gun and kills Johnny. The other gang members hide in cars because of the cold, and none of them even tries to avenge the killed leader. After the brutal murder, the vile leader of the outcasts, becomes the new leader of the Vandals. And this ends the golden era of bikers. Bikers turn into ruthless criminals who control prostitution, drug trafficking, and illegal casinos, and they cold-bloodedly kill their enemies. Only a few of the original members of the biker club remain in the gang. Most give up criminal activity. Sonny becomes a movie theater barker, and Cal gets a job as a construction worker until he has an accident. Cockroach becomes a police officer, and Zipco leaves the country and starts earning a living by catching shrimp. Benny takes the changes the hardest, learning about the unjust and treacherous execution of Johnny. After this, he immediately returns home, where he finds solace only in the arms of his beloved wife. Not wanting to continue living in the same city, the family moves to another state. Benny becomes a car mechanic and never rides a motorcycle again. It seems that he has become a happy family man, but the longing for the old days of the biker club is still visible in his eyes.